In the midst of war, a soldier calls out to his teammate, only to find he's been eliminated. An enemy soldier jumps him, and just as he's about to pass away, he comes out of his flashback. He's standing in a city where crime wreaks havoc. He notices men attacking a homeless man, so he intervenes to stop them from setting the guy on fire. He quickly kicks one against a brick wall, knocking him unconscious, but the other man grabs a broken bottle. A battle ensues and continues even after police pull up. They tase the Good Samaritan soldier and arrest him, finding his ID. One cop reads his name aloud, John Stewart. Upon discovering he's a veteran, the cop empathizes with him. John doesn't say a word, but they decide to release him to avoid scrutinization from the press. Meanwhile, a damaged spaceship is careening toward Earth. The pilot has a bloody nose, but seems to have located what he was looking for. Just as John reaches the front door of a house, he sees the spaceship crash in a field alarmingly close. He runs over to it, pries open the alien door, and finds the injured pilot. He loses consciousness just after his eyes find John. When he comes to, he tells John he's been looking for him for some time. He is unable to explain any further before he passes away, and disintegrates right before John's eyes. A floating green ring flies up, out of the Green Lantern suit, and addresses him as John Stewart of Earth. It says he possesses singular will, and welcomes him to the Green Lantern Corps. It magically appears on John's finger, and it won't come off. The Green Lantern uniform appears on his body. To his dismay, he starts talking back to the ring, and it tells him the attempt to reach headquarters for guidance has failed. The ring mentions things he must do, but John objects and continues trying to remove the ring after a magic hammer appears out of it and sends him flying. Since it won't budge, he asks if there's anyone he could talk to who would know what to do, and the ring says yes. It suddenly lifts him into the air, flying just outside the Earth's atmosphere, to the Justice League watchtower. 3 members of the Justice League discuss a disturbance, and the fact that they are currently stretched thin, because Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman are all elsewhere at the moment. Just then, John wanders into the room. They assume he is an intruder and start their attack. The ring defends him by forming large crystals as a shield against one of them, and an arm that flings another away. Just before irreversible damage is done, they notice his Green Lantern uniform. They cease fighting. The ring informs the members that it used to belong to Hal Jordan. They are all shocked to hear this, assuming Hal has passed away. Even though John doubts they'll believe him, he tells the 3 members what happened and how the ring attached itself to him. They doubt he's telling the truth, noting how terrible he is at using the ring. But remember that the rings are rarely wielded by anyone who is unworthy. Since they haven't heard from the Guardians in over a year, Green Arrow volunteers to find the crashed ship, figure out what happened to Hal, and visit the Guardians at Oa. Against his will, John joins him in hopes of having the ring removed. Green Arrow powers on the ship and has John ask his ring to program coordinates into it. On John's command, they take off through space. Once they arrive at Oa, Green Arrow asks John not to prove the Guardians right in their assumption that all humans are stupid. Once off the ship, they discover several bodies, which explains why they weren't returning their calls. The place is destroyed. John focuses on a body and has a flashback of his military days. They enter a building to look for answers. There are statues of other Green Lanterns, with playable audio descriptions of them. Green Arrow points out Sinestro's statue, explaining that he trained Hal Jordan to be the best Green Lantern in the universe before he turned psycho and went rogue. Just as John tries to clarify that all Green Lanterns were great, not just Hal Jordan, the audio recording for his statue states that he is known as the best Green Lantern in the universe. Green Arrow finds the battery used to charge Green Lantern rings and says John will need one. John reminds him he's tagging along in hopes of getting rid of it. Green Arrow walks off to see what he can find, instructing John to stay out of trouble. Seconds after he leaves, John notices his ring freely twisting and moving on his finger. He easily removes it, and the uniform disappears from his body. He sets the ring on the charging device just before a Shayera Hall swoops in to attack him. He is thrown to the ground, confused. He quickly finds and returns the ring to his finger, creating a shield to hold off the woman until Green Arrow returns, asking sarcastically if he can leave him alone for a minute. He shoots a few arrows at Shayera, but John crushes her against a stone slab with the power of his ring. He pushes forcefully against her, and the ring states repeatedly that lethal force is forbidden. As he crushes her, he has a flashback to his military days, where the rule was to eliminate or be eliminated. Her arm falls limp, and Green Arrow begs him to stop, not to eliminate her. He finally stops, and she falls, gasping for air. She tells him he should have finished her, and asks if they were part of the Ranian attack. Green Arrow informs her that they just got here, and following introductions, asks her if they can stop fighting for at least a minute and share some info. She shows them the last security video recorded of a Ranian ship landing with what she assumed to be a Eliminate squad on board. Jon Stewart and Green Arrow don't know who was on the ship and have a hard time accepting Shayera's beliefs. She explains that she came to seek aid from the Guardians in the war against the Ranians, but it was too late. Since the men are still unsure, Shayera gives them a history lesson. After years of war, Thanagarians and Ranians finally achieved tenuous peace. To codify it, a project began which was a huge success at first. Zeta beam technology was harnessed to create a teleporting bridge that connected the two worlds, Ran and Thanagar, and boost their economy. For reasons unknown, operators were locked out of the device's controls, and it fired the beam at one of the planets. Hal Jordan attempted to stop it from firing, but failed. It transported the entire planet right beside the other, upsetting both ecosystems. Hal Jordan and thousands of Thanagarians passed away that day, and the war criminal scientist Sardath escaped. After hearing her story, Green Arrow is still reasonably hesitant to eliminate anyone, so he suggests they go speak with the Ranians. Although Shayera is eager to eliminate and seek revenge, she agrees to go with them peacefully. On the ship, Green Arrow notices Jon using the ring's manual to improve the control and skill he has with it. Although Jon planned to get rid of it and could take it off now, he wants to be prepared in case they have to fight. The ring announces it's low on power, so Jon puts his hand in the charging device. It doesn't do anything, so Green Arrow leads him in reciting the Oath of Green Lanterns. With the ring fully charged, they arrive at the nearest outpost to discover many deceased Thangarians and a pitiful landscape. Suddenly, an extravagant and large Zeta beam shows up, destroying everything in its path. It delivers a bearded, unkempt man. Shayera recognizes him as Ranian, so a battle ensues between them, despite Green Arrow's plea for them to remember their manners. Jon holds Shayera in an indestructible bubble until she agrees to interrogate first, then eliminate. When Shayera mentions that his people eliminated the Guardians, the man is shocked to hear that the Guardians are deceased. He asks how, but instead of answering, they ask him about the Zeta beam that just brought him there. He admits that the beams seem attracted to him, and they transport him against his will to different parts of the galaxy. Shayera voices her doubt, but he swears that Ranians are allied with Green Lanterns and regard them as heroes. He knows he looks like a drunken nobody, but reveals himself to be Adam Strange, Night Flyer. He isn't deceased like everyone came to believe. He was sucked away by a Zeta beam. He swears that Ranians never attacked Oa, and if they accompany him to High Command, he'll prove it. Green Arrow congratulates Jon Stewart on the spunky team he's put together. Once they arrive, they witness mass destruction. Broken ships and bodies floating all around them. Adam uses his DNA to attempt to access a main computer on a severely damaged battleship, but upon doing so, the guns lock onto them. An unknown voice speaks to them, saying he relishes the chance to eliminate another Thangarian. Shayera tenses, but Adam pleads for the voice to wait, referring to him as Cantus of House Thrax. Cantus is caught off guard and pauses. Adam scans his hand to prove that he really is Adam Strange. Cantus is relieved he isn't deceased, and grants him permission to access the computer so they may solve the mystery that involves Ran and Thanagar. As Jon's ring scans for data relating to the war, Shayera says that she'd like to know why Ran attacked Oa. Cantus is appalled to hear this, and says they never attacked Oa. When Shayera claims they have evidence, Cantus says that none of this will matter anyway, because their greatest scientist is preparing a weapon to destroy Thanagar once and for all. Adam knows this scientist is Sardath, the escaped prisoner, and asks where the weapon is being built. Not even Cantus knows. Cantus' battlecruiser is being sucked into the Red Dwarf's gravitational pull, and he plans to go down with it. Jon uses his ring to divert all power and pull the ship out, only for Cantus to fly back into battle with it and be destroyed. While the team's ship flies through space, they find some interesting leads. The war started after Ran was transported right beside Thanagar, and the severe climate disasters, including tornadoes and tsunamis, contributed to the chaos and anger. Sardath re-engineered the Zeta beam to be a weapon of mass destruction, capable of destroying worlds. They don't know where the weapon or Sardath is now, but they found a recording of a Ranian ship shooting Green Lantern warriors on Oa. They found the ship's drive signature, matching that of a Thanagarian ship that attacked the United Galactic Council headquarters years ago. The ship's signature was found in many unwarranted attacks. It appears to impersonate either side to encourage the war. All escape routes the ship took led to one specific area. At first, when they arrive, it only appears to be a field of asteroids, but then someone or something starts firing it. They defend their ship well, and discover a structure disguised as a large asteroid. They find a secret entrance and land inside it, departing their ship. Several enemies emerge to attack them. A huge battle ensues, and just as Jon is about to have a sword plunge through him, he breaks free of his hold and forms a sword of his own with the ring. Shayera encourages him to eliminate the man, but he doesn't. Just then, Sinestro appears and steals Jon's ring, along with all of the team's weapons. He takes them prisoner instead of eliminating them, explaining that he may have a better use for them. They find Hal Jordan in the same cell, and update him on all that's happened. He is shocked. He explains that Sinestro infiltrated the base and caused the Zeta beam experiment to go out of control. He was pulled to the planet's surface before it teleported, and with Sinestro suddenly standing over him, he had no choice but to send the ring off to someone else just before he lost consciousness. John admits that he doesn't believe he's a suitable replacement for him, but Hal encourages him, saying the rings don't choose the wrong candidate. Using Shayra's concealed knife, made of the strongest material in the universe, they find and destroy the cell barrier's power source. Before leaving to speak with the High Command about the Doomsday weapon, John insists that one of them could use the ring and they should get it back. Hal tells him he can command the ring to come, and it will respond to his call. Green Arrow suggests he try to have the ring bring all of their weapons back. As Sinestro orders his crew to disguise the ship as a Thanagar ship before their attack, the team's weapons fly past them with the ring, who panics. Once the ring is back on John's finger, Green Arrow asks it if there's enough fuel for warp speed, and the ring says it's inconclusive. He sarcastically says that's wonderful, and orders everyone to strap in. Once they arrive, Rannian High Command allows them entry after Adam Strange proves his identity. Sinestro is already there, and orders an attack. The missiles collide against the shield that closes just after Jon Stewart's team enters Ran. Adam contacts Sardath through a hologram. He tries to explain that neither Thanagarians nor Rannians are to blame for any of this, and he mustn't use his Doomsday weapon. Sardath mentions that the weapon is thanks to Adam's own metagene, and is surprised he isn't more eager to seek revenge on the ones that caused his wife's death. Sardath is unwilling to leave his secret location, but offers to have Adam brought there by the Zeta beam. Once there, Adam explains that the first experiment was sabotage, but before he can explain further, Sinestro begins attacking with his ship disguised as a Thanagarian battleship. Jon Stewart does the best he can to use his ring in battle, but Sinestro is a tough opponent. John, Shayra, Hal Jordan, and Green Arrow all fight against Sinestro's team. Hal grabs a gun and eliminates enemies with it. Green Arrow expresses his disapproval, but Hal says they can't be soft. The others are pulled away by battle when Sinestro takes John's ring. He is about to be eliminated by Sinestro, but John calls it back to him, and it flies straight through Sinestro like a bullet. The team battles their way to Sardath, and finds that Hal Jordan has already persuaded him not to use the weapon. He hands the CPU containing the core of the Zeta technology to Hal. Hal unexpectedly turns around and shoots Sardath in the head. Green Arrow is shocked, as are the others. John enters with a ring-formed gun, and shoots at Hal. It isn't enough to hurt Hal, and when Green Arrow criticizes John for attacking Hal, John explains that they've had it all wrong. Hal Jordan wasn't Sinestro's prisoner. He was his master. Hal admits that this is true, and goes on to explain that Sinestro infected him with an alien parasite, assuming it would force him to obey his command. Instead, it filled Hal with a new purpose. His eyes were opened, and he saw that he alone was destined to change war and conflict. He believed the Guardians were no longer necessary. After attacking Oa and gaining several Green Lantern rings, Sinestro became his main acolyte. Using the CPU and Doomsday Zeta technology, Hal planned to destroy worlds in an attempt to wipe the galaxy clean and start over new, as if he were a god. During battle, Hal attempts to convince John to join him instead. John yells for Adam to stop the Zeta beam that Hal set to destroy both Ran and Thanagar. While he battles Hal, John recites the oath for the Green Lanterns with passion and meaning, saying he finally understands it. He transforms into a true Green Lantern warrior, losing his worldly clothes and forming massive weapons. He nearly defeats Hal when the others tell him they can't stop the Zeta beam. In his distraction, Hal attacks him one more time, just before a Green Arrow shoots through his chest. This time, Green Arrow shot to eliminate. They watch as Adam Strange flies in a spacesuit alongside the racing Zeta beam, intercepting it at the last minute to save the planets. Green Arrow is devastated at the loss of his friend, Hal. John comforts him. They give John a ride back to Earth. He sephiffs the Green Lantern rings that Hal collected off to find new worthy candidates. Shayra bids them goodbye, and Green Arrow joins Jon Stewart in finding a good place to eat.